The video you're about to watch took this many Polaroid pictures and this many cartridges to make. So this is over $100 worth of film. If you enjoy this video at all, or if you learn anything, please like it, subscribe to the channel, because this is the most expensive Polaroid video I've ever made. And yes, we will make stop motion video using these pictures. What's going on, everyone? I'm Joshua Thomas, and I've been wanting to make a stop motion video using Polaroid pictures for some time now, and well, I did it, and I'm going to take you on the journey of how I did that. So the first thing I had to establish when figuring out what I wanted to do with a stop motion Polaroid is how much film was I willing to use and how much film was going to get me how many seconds worth of video. And I can safely say that it takes 3 cartridges to be able to make 2 seconds worth of video. And here's how that works. In stop motion and animation, it's very common to film at half the frame rate of a normal video. Most videos on television are at 24 frame rates. Movies might be more, but we're not going to worry about that. And when it comes to animation, especially drawing cartoons or doing stop motion, many animators will film on the 2s or at half the frame rate, which is 12. So with 8 photos being in each cartridge, for every 3 cartridges I use, oh, that's 4. For every 3 cartridges I use, that adds up to 24 photos, and that's 2 seconds worth of video. But there are also some other animation tricks that we can use to extend this. So I determined that I'm going to be able to use roughly 4 seconds of video out of these photos, and that means that I'm going to have to use 6 to 7 cartridges to get those 4 seconds, and that's exactly what I did. The other thing I had to figure out was what kind of story I wanted to tell, and I did that. I even drew up the scenes that I wanted and what I was going to do in those scenes, and I also had to do some testing with my Polaroid cameras. Was I going to use the Polaroid Flip or the Polaroid I2? At the time that I had started this idea, I had just gotten the Polaroid Flip, and for those of you who don't know, this video would have come out months ago had it not been for our house catching on fire. So that set me back a lot, and that's also why you haven't seen very many videos from me recently. But I digress. So the first shots you're going to see here are going to be my test shots, trying to figure out which camera was going to be best to use. And the important thing was that I needed to be able to get as close to the objects I was going to film as possible because, well, they're pretty small, and I needed to fill up as much of these Polaroid photos as possible with my subject so that, you know, you guys could actually enjoy the video. So without further ado, we're going to go back in time, and you'll see my process for determining which camera to use, and then figuring out how I was going to do something else that I really wanted to do, and that was motion blur in a Polaroid picture. Check it out. Alright, it's a new day, and there's a couple of tests that I need to do in order to figure out what my optimal distance is, but also what my optimal camera is. So I've got my I2 on my tripod right here, and I have measured out it to be 1 foot away from the first set of vehicles right here. Now, the minimum distance for both the I2 and the Polaroid Flip, which are the 2 cameras I'm going to test, is 0.4 meters or 40 centimeters. So this monster truck right here is at 40 centimeters, and then I've got cars at 10 centimeter intervals after that. Now, the reason I'm using these is because they're going to be my primary characters. They're my characters for this story. I figure I'm going to have a police car, and it's going to go on a chase with perhaps one of these monster trucks. So yeah, I'm going to take a photo with the I2 first to see what my optimal distance is going to be, and then I'm also going to mount the Polaroid Flip on the same tripod without moving it. I'm going to take a photo with that. I'm also going to use this pack of film right here to get my 40-meter distance, because the Flip has a tendency to sometimes focus on the wrong object. So hopefully this is going to keep that from happening, and the same thing with the I2 as well. It's going to focus on this. So yeah, let's get started. Let's take our first photograph. Now I'm going to turn on my I2. The great thing about the I2 also is that I can dial in my settings. I've got it at f22 and 1/13 of a second. Now if I half press my shutter button, it will lock onto this distance, which it's warning me that it's less than 0.4 meters. Right there it says it's good. So now I'm going to take this away. And there we have it. Our first shot. Oh man, that chemicals look a little off right there. So I'm going to put that right there. I believe that was my last shot. Yep, no more film for this camera. But that's okay. I'm going to switch over to my Flip, and we will see how it goes from there. Alright, I've got the Polaroid Flip on here now, so we're going to take a photo. Once again, I'm going to hold it at about the 40mm mark. And here we go. I'm going to take that away. So I half pressed it with this right where I wanted it to be, so that it would lock in that distance. Now all we've got to do is wait for these films to develop. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to go to my shed and see what I can hobble together for the next test that I need to do. Well, the results are very telling. It looks like the I2 has outperformed the Polaroid Flip in terms of minimum focal distance. And also, it looks like the I2 has more evenly lit its scene, not because it's got a better flash, but actually because it has a worse flash. You see, in order to properly expose its film, it has to rely more on the ambient light than its tiny flash, whereas the Polaroid Flip, which I have over here, has the strongest flash of all the Polaroid cameras that are made today. Meaning that objects that are really close to the Polaroid Flip's flash are going to be really, really bright, and stuff that's really far away is going to be really, really dark. I think with both of those statistics in the bag, we've definitely got the Polaroid I2 as the winner of which camera is going to be the one that I use. With the I2 having the manual controls right on the camera, I think it's going to be easier for me, especially when it comes to the next test, which is going to be even more difficult, and that's trying to get some motion blur. You see, in order to get a good motion blur, I'm going to have to move the camera and the car at the exact same speed, and I'm going to have to come up with some kind of rig to attach those together so that they move perfectly and the background is the only thing that blurs, whereas the subject stays in focus. And maybe the wheels get some nice blur to them too. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do next, and we'll see how that goes. Well, there's my rig. This is going to be my motion blur rig 1.0, and yeah, I'm very skeptical after having moved it a couple times as to how steady I'm going to be able to be with this, but I did measure it out to be sort of right at 40 centimeters, so that hopefully I can get the optimal focus while still getting the subject as close to the camera as possible. So yeah, this stick right here is probably going to show up in the shot as well, but I did try to center the vehicle on the lens as best as possible. But you know what? This is just a preliminary test, and we gotta go with what we can get. So yeah, here we go. Here's the cover from the new film that I put in here. And there we go, 0.4, holding my finger on it. I'm going to try and move this as steadily as possible over the course of 1 second, so, and 1 Mississippi. Woo, that was rough. that was rough. I'm going to do one more take of this. So I took my first test shot with the motion control rig that I created. Now, I took that first one with the flash on, and I went ahead and took the second one also with the flash on, and by the time I'd finished that second one and given the first one a few minutes to start developing, I could definitely tell that the first shot was going to be overexposed due to the flash. So for the final test, I adjusted the f-stop to 45, and the shutter speed was still at 1 second to give me time to move the truck and get that motion blur that I was seeking. And, well, here's the result. This turned out way better than I thought it would. I mean, it's a little bit blurry, but I think we got it. I think this is gonna be good enough. My dog's barking at another dog passing by. I think this is good enough that with the 5 pieces of film that I have left in this, I'm gonna go ahead and set up for the police chase and film it. So yeah, here we go. So yeah, this looked so good, and I've already got everything set up the way I want it to be set up, so I'm just gonna go ahead and play this. We're gonna do this. I've got a Sharpie in order to mark the backs of the photographs so I know what order they go in. And yeah, this is gonna be it. Here we go. We're gonna back all the way up. Look at our card. I'm not even sure how many photos I need for this, but I've got the police car attached to the back here. It's gonna be just in frame, and yeah, here we go, guys. This is gonna be it. This is gonna be fun. After doing the initial setup where the camera moved along with the monster truck and the police car, I then set up for a second shot using just a really long zip tie. The police car is still chasing the monster truck, but in this one, the camera remains stationary, whereas the car and the truck move while the shutter's open to create the illusion that they are going really fast. So the second part of the chase scene is going to have the vehicles blurred while the rest of the scene is in focus. And that was the end of that shooting day, and well, the results of that I thought were pretty good. In fact, here's what it looks like. Once I had that together and I had all of the scripting done for the short chase scene that I was going to have, the little story that I was going to tell, it was then time to set up for the final shooting day. And this one was going to be a big one because I was going to get all the other photographs done on this day. All right, everybody, it's production day number 2, and I've got everything ready. I did as much research as I could. You can't really see it, but the drawings are right here. My dog's barking in the background. And I've also got my daughter here to help me in case I need a third pair of hands, or a third hand. I got 5 packs of film here, so I've got 40 shots left, and I don't think I'm going to need all of them, but if we end up coming up with some other idea to use, maybe I'll add it to the video as well. It's really hot out here, so I'm going to get started, and I have the feeling by the end of this, I'm going to be like just drenched in sweat. So here we go. The first shot of the second filming day was going to be the opening to our little story. It's just the monster truck revving up and zooming off. And you can see there that my daughter is holding the little note card in front of the monster truck. That's to help the camera once again get a proper focus, because sometimes it would like to focus past the monster truck, and we definitely didn't want to waste any film getting the monster truck blurry, especially since it was already so small in frame to begin with. Once we did that, we set up for the most complex shot of all. First, we were going to have the monster truck zoom by the police car. Then, we were going to have the police car sort of stunned and dazed that the monster truck flew by so fast. You'll also note that Cora's helping me with the focusing with the card again. But then also, I put a 2x zoom adapter on the front of the Polaroid I2. This was to get a slightly zoomed in look on the police car. I wasn't sure if it was going to be perfectly in focus, so I had to wait to find out about that, but I figured, you know what? It's probably going to at least focus on the buildings that are a part of the little Hot Wheels city, if nothing else, and the police car was close enough to those that I felt that it was going to be okay. It was then time for the third and final setup of the day. This was going to be the final scene, the scene where the monster truck drives off the table and the police car comes to a screeching halt. As you can see here, we were having to switch out film for this entire thing, so it did slow down the process a little bit. It was a very hot day, and I had a little bit of difficulty setting up the rig for the monster truck to go off the table, but still get a little bit of motion blur on it without it just completely leaving the frame. And yeah, this was the last few shots. I decided to take photos of all of the Polaroids because the Canon EOS 90D I thought would get the best resolution that I would be able to zoom in on the most if I needed to. So after a whole lot of photos, a whole lot of sweating, some help from my daughter, and then a bunch of editing, I'm happy to say that, well, here's the finished product. So what you just saw there was the finished product without any sound effects, but watch at just how alive it becomes when we add a few sound effects. Well, hey. Huh? You'll also notice that I only took about 4 seconds worth of Polaroid photos, a little over 50 photos, but the final video is about 9 seconds long. And well, the way that I did that was by looping certain photos. I took several photos of the exact same frame and I just repeated those photos in order to create the illusion that the video was continuing when in actuality it was just 3 to 4 photos looping over each other. And with the sound effects over that, you kind of don't notice it. You might notice it in some of the motion that's captured in those few photographs, but that's a part of the magic of animation. It's done all the time. They will take several frames and repeat them to stretch out the time of the video and reduce the amount of work that they have to do in creating each individual frame because, well, if you were to animate an entire show with every single frame being different, it would just take a lot longer. So just in case you're wondering, I did the math, and in order to create a 90-minute movie like this with 12 frames per second, it would take 64,800 Polaroid pictures to make an entire movie. Now that's not including any of the tricks that we may have used. Of course, that would reduce it, but assuming that every single picture was different, over 64,000 photos. You know, multiply that by 1.5 or 2, depending on how much your film costs, and you've got the cost just in film, just in Polaroid film, to produce that feature-length movie. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I had a ton of fun making stop-motion video with my Polaroid camera. Let me know if you've ever done something like this before, and let me know if you're going to try it. And yeah, hope you guys will like and subscribe once again, and check out more on Jehu Film. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see y'all next time.
Bye. I hope you want to watch it again. Make sure to do one of these videos at your house.
Well, hey.